in the studio?
No.
Okay. Okay. Are my feet in? Okay, I think we're good. Okay, all right, I'm ready. There's a lot of video games, like a lot. And like under 5% of them are actually good, and less than 1% of those are like really good. But only a handful of those I would consider masterpieces. Breath of the Wild, maybe. Portal 2, yeah, it's pretty good. But last summer, I played a game so incredible, so beautiful, so challenging, that it redefined how I view single-player games as a whole. It's not even new, it came out like 10 years ago. I'm talking about... But before we can talk about Dark Souls, I need to address the elephant in the room, the difficulty. If you've heard of Dark Souls, then you've heard that it's a very, very hard game. Oftentimes, game journalists will compare any mildly challenging game to it as the Dark Souls of that genre, and yeah, it's hard, no doubt about it. But it's not a rage game. If you learn from your mistakes and get the timing right on dodging and attacking, the game plays fair. But Dark Souls has so much more to offer than a hard sword game. So to get started, let's talk about... So if you didn't know, Dark Souls actually has a story. Surprise! But the narrative is told in a much different way than a lot of modern AAA games in that it isn't told, not directly anyways. You get one cutscene at the very beginning about how there were dragons, but now there aren't, and then the world was cool, but now it's ending, and also you're in a jail cell. Yeah, and you might be the chosen undead that stops the world from ending, so do something. But besides that, if you want to learn about the world, you gotta go all detective mode, reading the descriptions on items for little lore snippets, or by talking to an NPC. That'll probably go something like, "Another undead, eh? Best of luck, especially after old Smithers went and fell to the darkness during the time of terror. Hopefully you don't run into him down here. I'm horribly depressed. Ha ha ha." Also, just by the world layout, you can infer a lot of stuff that went on in the kingdom before it all, went to shit. Speaking of NPCs, there's a couple NPC storylines you can follow throughout the game, but only if you choose to interact with them. You can just ignore them and the storylines won't progress, and you'll just miss out on really cool subplots. There's also a lot of cool secrets you can just find totally on your own off the beaten trail, which can range from cool item to massive plot twist that throws the entire narrative into question. And you can just miss those, by the way. You'll still experience a great game. That's kind of a theme with Dark Souls storytelling, is that you can give it as much or as little attention as you want. Unlike most games where the story just happens to you, you have to make the story happen, which makes it feel so much more organic. But enough about the storytelling, okay? Let's take a look at... In Dark Souls, you explore Lordran, the epicenter of human civilization. Or it used to be. I'm gonna keep it concise for time purposes, but I also don't want to spoil too much. In Dark Souls, humanity is branded with the curse of the undead, the dark side, which means you can't truly die. Immortality sounds cool? This is what it looks like. Also, you go insane, which is known in Dark Souls as going hollow. If a human loses all will or purpose in their life, they become hollow, so they'll be hostile to the player and lose all personality that they used to have. For a game about rolling in swamps and killing gods, I think this is like a really profound analogy for like mental health as a whole. Seeing the NPCs you interact with and buy items from throughout the game suddenly hollow and you're forced to kill them is like really fucking sad, dude. Coming back to the storytelling for a sec, you'll just run into them and just have to deal with it. There's no cutscene or anything. So instead of happening to your character, it feels like it's happening to you. There's so much more cool lore that I could go through, like the Abyss, which is just a black void at the bottom of the map that everyone's terrified of. The ancient serpents who know everything about the world, but still you feel like they're lying to you. Anor Londo is this beautiful empty city amid Armageddon that feels kind of too good to be true. New Londo Ruins was just such a cool but tragic story behind it. I could easily keep going, but something with just as much depth and variety as the world are... Whether it's a shopkeeper, NPC, or boss fight, Dark Souls is home to a myriad of interesting characters. Like Solaire, he's a rare but friendly face in a sea of despair, always willing to chat with you about his quest to find his true purpose in life, his son. Or Patches, who pushes you off a cliff like a jackass, so you come back and push him off the same cliff. But then there's boss characters like Sif. Yes, that is a giant dog with a sword in its mouth. I know it sounds funny, but it belonged to our master Artorias, the person whose grave you're actually trying to rob for a required item to beat the game. Now, don't you feel like kind of an asshole? Okay, look, now she's limping. Dude, stop! Why am I crying? You can actually go back in time and fight Artorias when he was still alive, which actually kind of implies his grave that you're robbing is your fault. Oh yeah, also there's time travel. Then there's more mysterious divine characters like Guinevere, who congratulates you after beating one of the hardest boss fights in the game, exclaiming that you truly are the chosen undead. At first, it's an amazing feeling. I mean, Dark Souls is all about the satisfaction of overcoming huge obstacles. But like with the sunlight and the music, it kind of feels a bit much. Like am I even a hero? I mean, Solaire's fucking depressed, and it's getting worse. I killed a dog just trying to guard her master's grave, who I also killed, by the way. Like, the whole game, I'm rolling up on bosses, just hanging out, and I just kill them? Weren't they just minding their own business? And yeah, as the chosen undead, I'm supposed to extend the Age of Fire, but when this is the shithole of a world I'm saving, maybe it's time for something new, but I'm getting way too far ahead of myself. I don't want to spoil what happens at and I assure you I won't. The final boss's location is the coolest place in the game, in my opinion, and the context behind the fight is so tragic. This is the final boss music, by the way. Does this sound heroic to you? But if you do plan on beating Dark Souls, don't do it for like bragging rights just to say you beat one of the hardest games, because you'll never beat it with that attitude. I'll always recommend that the more blind you go into the game, the better, because looking up a guide in a game built around overcoming hardship and challenges kind of defeats the purpose. Not to sound gatekeepy, if you're like really stuck or frustrated on stuff, like that's fine, I've done that before, but I recommend using guides as sparingly as possible. I hope this video makes you want to play Dark Souls. Please play Dark Souls. Thank you for watching, and don't you dare go hollow.